Man, this guy is having a real hard time trying to defend why the United States is still going to give arms to these IDF units that have been caught uh, committing human rights violations before October 7th in the West Bank. Uh, his main defense is that four of the units have been remediated, which pretty much means nothing when it comes to human rights violations.
Because this is a bit complicated. The US government has concluded that 5 different Israeli units committed gross human rights violations, but as of now, all of those units can still continue to receive US arms, weapons, ammunition.
Well, in four of those instances, as I just said, we have seen remediation of those violations, and that is, of course, what we expect of partners. Beyond that, as it relates to this fifth unit, that is a process that is still ongoing.
Right.
But let me just say, Simon, since
Okay, but what was the remediation that was done to remedy the uh, units committing human rights violations? Like, you keep saying it was remediated, but that doesn't tell anybody anything.
you gave me the opportunity. When we're talking about the Leahy Law, what we are talking about are unit and component restrictions when they are found in violation. It does not have bearing on the broader security relationship that we may have with a country, especially a country like Israel, in which we have a long-standing security relationship, the provision of bulk assistance that's gone back many, many years.
But as of
So he's saying since we're friends with Israel, it doesn't matter if these units commit human rights violations, the United States is still going to give them arms and money.
now, even the 5th unit, where you're unsure whether there's been remediation, they are still eligible to receive US arms.
That is the interpretation of the law.
Yeah,
Correct.
and to sort of, I wonder, the public might listen to you say that you've concluded that there are gross violations of human rights, but is there any detail you can give us? What are these incidents? What kind of things are we talking about? Some of the reporting is involved, sexual assaults, the murder. Is there anything you can tell us about what this conclusion is?
So I'm not going to get into the specifics of these incidents run up here because overall the totality of this situation continues to be an ongoing process. But I have no doubt that we will.
Well, that doesn't mean you can actually answer the question and tell what's in the report that has been given so far. Like, dude, you've already admitted that the IDF is committing human rights violations. Just say what they are. I mean, it's not like the US truly cares if the IDF is committing human rights violations. This guy's trying to defend why these units should still be armed.
Have more to share in the time ahead, and that is consistent with the appropriate congressional pieces as well as the engagements with the host government on this.
And
going
you're
forward.
not going to tell us what the units are in question.
Again, that is not something that we generally make public beyond through appropriate consultations with legislative bodies as well as the host government.
So the US government has conducted a process, found that these units have conducted gross violations of human rights. That sounds very serious, but you won't tell us what those violations were, who committed them, and you're going to continue to send weapons to them.
That is a process that is consistent with the standards that we have with other countries as well. You have to remember, Israel.
So, if if our other allies were to commit human rights violations, we would still arm and fund them. Does that just show that the United States doesn't care about human rights violations if they have no issues with their allies committing them? It's just really funny when the United States screams about other nations that aren't their allies committing human rights violations, when here we go, the United States honestly not caring about human rights violations going on by their allies.
is a country in which we have a long-standing security relationship with. Other countries similar in this grouping, I would say, would include the government in terms of the kinds of relationship we have, include Ukraine, include Egypt, and in those kinds of countries, there is a proactive vetting of the whole security universe, a constant evaluation in close consultations with our embassies and consulates, NGOs, civil society, media reporting on the ground as to assess what is happening in those countries. And so, consistent with that process, I'm not in a place to share publicly the specific components of their security services in which this is applicable to.
So again, the spokesperson for the Biden administration basically saying nothing about something serious as a way to defend the Israeli government and them committing human rights violations. And we're still supposed to believe the Israeli government